school board meeting to order. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Chair moves for approval of the agenda. Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Announcements, Facilities Committee meeting, August 19th, right here in this room. Finance Committee meeting, September 10th at 7:30. Policy Committee meeting, September 14th, up here, and a regular board meeting following at 6 p.m. The next item on our agenda is a public hearing on proposed student fees for nursing assistant registered program. Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning, Mark Van Wright, will provide a brief overview of the program, review the proposed fees, and then invite members of the public to ask questions or provide comments. So, Mark?
Thank you. The public hearing tonight is a requirement for school boards when there are fees that are not covered by the Minnesota Public School law that governs student fees. So I'll give you a review of our nursing assistant registered program. We'll talk about the fees that are involved. There'll be time for public comment, for you to comment, and then we'll close the hearing. So I just want to start tonight excited that this fall, we're launching our nursing assistants registered program. It's going to be a program for students that can learn about the medical field. It'll be 132 hours of instruction. It'll be 16 hours of clinical experiences at a local nursing home facility. And students that are successful will have an opportunity to take the nursing assistant certification test and earn certification as a nursing assistant. And that provides employment for nursing homes, it provides jobs for high school students, and we're excited to offer that to our student body. The main core learning that'll be happening is really around patient care. And patient care involves many different facets, and by the time they end the program, they'll be ready to take a certification test. They'll be ready to go. The partnership that we'll go into will be with Monarch Healthcare, and they have nursing home facilities in Delano, Excelsior, and they are been a great partner so far with us, and we'll be working. They'll provide a registered nurse to work alongside our medical careers teacher, Caitlin Peglow, and then they'll provide the clinical site for our students for testing, and they'll be supporting us all on the way, and at no cost to the district. So it's going to be a great partnership. When it comes to fees, there are 4 different fees that are involved with this program. There'll be at the end of the semester course a skills testing fee. It's $100. There's a knowledge testing fee, $60. There's a background check fee, $49.20, and a fingerprint fee of $13.50. So you can see these fees add up to over $200. I'm happy to report that through grants that the district has been awarded, we're going to bring that fee down to a $25 flat fee to our students in the program.
Well, that's awesome.
And we have funding for 2 years to do that. And I think that's wonderful that we can say, and we will offer that to our students. Now, within those fees, the skills and the knowledge test fees, we can authorize those as a school district because they're optional. It's something that you could take the class and choose not to take the test. Where we need to have a public hearing tonight is around the background check and the fingerprint fees, because they're required for taking the course, but they're not explicitly covered by the Minnesota Public School fee law. And in order to participate in the clinicals at the nursing home facilities, you have to complete a background check and you have to be fingerprinted. So that is the purpose tonight that in order to complete this course, you have to offer and you have to pay the background check and the fingerprinting fees along with the skills and knowledge test fees. Again, we're gonna offer a flat fee of $25 through our grants and provide that. So these are required fees to complete the required 16 hours of clinical time at a nursing home facility and successfully complete the NER course. So that is just an overview of what the course is. I've shared with you the cost of the fees, and we're gonna be charging a $25 flat fee to cover all 4 of them. This is a delineation of what's required, what's optional with the fees, and I will stop and ask if there's any comments or questions about this.
So we received some grants for 2 years, and that's regardless of how many students?
Yes,
Great.
yes.
So we're here tonight to have a public hearing about the fees, even though, like, notwithstanding the grants that are gonna be offsetting the fees.
Correct.
Because we still have to, because beyond the 2 years, the fees will still exist.
Yes.
And so forth. So these fees and these services, the background, the fingerprinting, that's something that actually is, like, setting aside the grants, that's collected by the school and then paid to a third party, or do the students pay these third parties directly?
Sure, sure.
And second question is, what happens when the third party change their fees?
Sure, two very good questions. The way that we're starting is that the fees will be charged by Monarch for the background check and for the fingerprint. Because we'll be working, our students will be working within their nursing facilities. So they will invoice the school district for X number of students that are completing the background check and completing the fingerprinting.
Okay.
So that's how that'll work. If those fees change in the future, we certainly have to look at our funding and what that looks like. We will always pursue different grants and fundings to always try to bring the costs down.
So it sounds like Monarch is really in control of setting the fees anyways.
Those
It's a
two-
partner of.
Those 2 fees, right?
Yeah, those 2
Yeah.
fees.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Now, the skills testing, which is there's the written test and the hands-on testing, that is more regulated by the State Department of Health. Monarch will be the facilitator of those. So, as anything, fees can change, and what is, I think, most important tonight is that as a school system, as a school board, we already have authorization to charge students the skills and knowledge test fees, and we can choose what we want that dollar amount to be. Until you have an action item, which you'll have tonight, to consider voting on approving as a board the background check and fingerprint fees, at this point, we're not allowed to charge those fees until the board takes formal action. And that's an agenda item for you tonight, to consider all 4 of the fees, approving them or not. And once we have that motion, and if the board approves the fees, then we can go ahead and offer and apply those fees to the course and communicate to our families that there are 4 fees, and we'll be working through grants to bring that fees down to a flat fee of $25.
I think this is obviously a very unique class where it makes sense that if they're gonna participate in these kind of facilities, which to get licensed, you need to participate in these facilities, they need to ensure that it's safe. And so fingerprinting, background checks, it's a unique class, that's why it comes to you. When it comes to the assessment piece, there's a number of things that our students choose to get an assessment. If it's the ACT test or other tests, you take that as an option. There's an expense to families as you go. We obviously offer through the school one, but when you go for multiple, there's that expense. And so I don't think that's uncommon in education when you try to get different certifications. a lot of different certifications out there, or if you're taking assessments. What we want to really ensure is that the class is not cost prohibitive. And I think we have ways with activities and other things that we've monitored in the future or currently of how can we make that possible for all of our students. That really needs to be managed year by year. And so rather than make a promise, this is how it's gonna work, I really commend Mark, as I know everyone here does, of finding a grant to start this out. And then we just have to stay up with what are fees currently, and are there ways to offset that through other grants? If not, is there a way to scholarship, or how can we ensure those students that wanna take the class can take the class? And so I think that's how we pursue going forward. With this unique relationship with Monarch, really compliment Mark. We're not the first to do this, and so there's a number of districts, but depending on where you are, what region you are, you might have a different partner. And so Mark has done quite a bit of research on different groups, trying to find this partner so our kids can have that opportunity. If we didn't have Monarch, they wouldn't have that site-based, skill-based, wouldn't be possible. And so it's not an option, it's really needed, and we're thankful that we have someone that's here in this area and someone of their caliber, so.
And how long is the partnership for?
With Monarch?
Yeah.
Right now, it's a 1-year partnership. We'll be meeting in January for just a midway, just discussion how things are going with both parties. But I think their plan and our plan will be to continue to renew. But it's a 1-year contract.
Okay.
And then we go from there.
And they partner with other school districts?
Yes.
Well, it is now 6:13, and hearing no further comments, I declare the public hearing closed at this time. And Mark, thank you. Thank you for coming in.
Just a clarification, sorry. This is, what we're voting on today is for these fees for a year period. And we'll have to do this every year?
I think this allows us to charge fees for this reason, and so that gives you.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
For this purpose.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public that wish to come before the board to speak tonight? Don't see anybody, so we'll move on to the reports. We'll start out with the construction report, Gary.
I'll start with the primary schools. Let's go through a couple of quick pictures. Kind of what we've been doing, obviously we're in the last month, so we're into the finishes portion of it. Everything's looking good there. We're punching out, later this week. Starting to do punch lists, so that's always a good sign when we're at that phase of it. Get you a couple photos here. So this is of at Hilltop. Again, just nothing. Some mechanical room spaces. You can see the finishes starting to go in, new carpet, paint going on. So it's looking
We're really
good.
fortunate at Hilltop this bond really supported a lot of mechanical improvements, so some of those pictures aren't gonna probably, for certain people, they're very interesting, but it's not the selling point pictures, although you do feel the air, etc. Both media centers are being done at both buildings, and some of their outside play areas are gonna be two of the things that parents, students really notice. But some of the carpet in the areas, doors, so there will be touch points where people definitely notice, but probably more mechanical.
A lot of this was infrastructure.
Yeah,
both those
piping,
schools, correct, yeah.
boilers,
Okay.
air handlers.
There's a couple pictures at Shirley Hills. Again,
In your bottom left-hand corner, you see in the cafeteria, the windows. And then you can see they're gonna be much larger coming up, and so we're excited for, if you've been in that cafeteria, you're gonna notice that's kind of for kids, they're probably perfect. But when you're an adult, it's kind of like you're looking down, trying to look through that window, and now everyone will be able to see better.
Photos, so. Yeah, it's, like I said, we're in a good place, we're happy where we're at, like I said, we're in the final stages and.
So 0 lost time days for weather,
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's pretty nice.
some of the good stuff about being inside.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So, once the school, year starts,
Mhm.
what will, at both elementary schools,
Yeah.
what will the, students see that is incomplete?
We'll be done, yeah, we feel, I can't think of anything right now that's great, those are really good shape.
Usually in September, we're working on some of the automation with our heating, cooling, so that's something that's being fine tuned. There's some punch list items. You have, oh, this door was ordered wrong, or you might have some of those one-off things.
Yeah, we always endeavor to get the punch list done immediately, but there might be items on that list that, oh, we gotta
Yeah,
reorder something.
nothing
and that-
major.
yeah.
Okay, good.
Sounds like the turf at Shirley Hills will start going in this week, and then this field will also be going in, so that should be in time for school start, which will be nice for those kids.
All right, then the stadium project, we were hoping to get the drone in here, they flew it, I think, this morning, I just couldn't get it in time, but, so the drone photos from last meeting, so I'll just hit on a couple of photos. You can't quite see it from the road, because they got the huge pile of dirt there, but the turf is down.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, the turf is down, we're working on, this photo here is, the foundation system for the bleachers, for the home side bleachers. You can see there's a retaining wall on the north side, right, the north side of the track. You see the new, entrance.
It was interesting watching them put in those retaining walls and
Yeah.
stuff. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool, yeah.
Legos. Let's see if we have a picture of well, the concession stands are in progress, all the structures are up. And here are the multi-purpose fields, that turf is gonna be starting, I think that's starting this week as well. Basically, if you've been out there, all the fencing posts are up, the fence will come after the turf is down. So again, that turf is gonna be installed by start of school, we'll still have all the fencing and stuff to go up after that. But yeah, we're feeling really good about the progress out there.
When does the garage go up on that?
So the slab is the end, I honestly don't know on that one, that's
It's
getting.
being delivered, it's delivered this week, and it should be going up in the next couple weeks.
Yep. So yeah, this is the slab it sits on here.
Is that for storage for football in the fall and
Community
for
ed.
baseball and stuff in
Yeah.
the spring? Okay.
And the Ospreys have been checking out the new light poles already.
Yeah.
Just so everybody, just so everybody
We
knows.
should have a whole-
Might be some nests.
Here's a couple photos of just the buildings around the stadium site, so this is the storage building off the fields, and then these are the concessions. Some more concessions. Yeah,
You know, the stadium still, the plan is that won't be done till late October, I mean, it's laying the track and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind
That's
of
the
like,
process?
we're kind of have a little, it's the logistics of, where you see the bleacher, the new home side bleachers,
Mhm.
you know, that's a huge structure with all footings and foundations. And then on top of that goes the press box. Well, the press box gets set by a crane. You're so close to Thaler that you can't fit the crane in to set it from the back side, so you gotta set it from the front side, and the front side is the track. So we're we're holding off the track until we get the press box set, and then we pour or put the asphalt down at the end of August, let it sit for the 30 days, then we put the track surface on at the end of September.
And that has to sit for 30 days as well, or something like that?
Yeah, I mean,
thought
it
that's
wants to,
what-
yeah, but yeah, basically, we just, weather
Permitted.
permitting, you know, you put that track surface down. We don't anticipate a problem, you know, it's gotta be 50 degrees or warmer, and the end of September is usually not an issue with that. So then that track surface goes down, and then so it's basically, it's that press box that is causing, you know, us a little bit of a pinch point, but I mean, it's in the schedule, it's just the little logistics of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you walk out on the turf and it's ready, so. Let's see, a couple photos of the high school. Again, I always say this, but when we, even today when you walk through, you're like, there's a lot of stuff to do, but
There's a lot
trust
going
me,
on.
we're in a good place. Just on the site, you know, they're pouring concrete out there as we speak. They got a little bit left. They'll be wrapped up this week. The new entrance, all that concrete is now poured. They're starting to spread black dirt around the curb lines and the sidewalks. Asphalt's going on in the next week or two just to do the final lifts on areas. So again, we're feeling really good about where we're at on the site. In the gym, the gym box here. Gym box. So the floor is in. If you walk in there right now, there's all the lines have been striped, so everything's striped. The center court has been whitewashed, so it's a little bit of a lighter color. So then they put on the final cover coat this on Friday, and then again that has to sit for a week, and then we get the bleachers in there going. So that's where we're at in the progress. The rest of it is, we're kind of in that finishing phase. All, you know, there's tile going up everywhere, there's carpet going down, ceilings going in, you know, the tile on all the corridors, I mean, that's in process now. Yeah, it's pushing on people to get there and get done, but we're feeling good about where we're at. Again, like we'll be working on, you know, the storm shelter area, little theater, once school starts, but kind of gonna be somewhat isolated, a little bit less of a pain this next year than before.
You get into days where you're hoping things move, and then you have days where you feel like you're really moving, and that's kind of this stage. One thing that was nice to see happen today is they got the ramp. They took those awkward stairs by the little theater, and today the ramp got poured. And so it was nice to see that passageway be complete. Carpet is now in the music wing, and flooring is in there, and they just have to circle the different areas. In talking to the crew about our nursing area and our engineering area, they say that we're on schedule to have those completed. And so there's a lot of work, but they know the schedule, and so you say, I'm glad you're saying that, because not everyone would, but they feel like that stacks up, so.
Have they started excavating the courtyard?
Beginning to, in fact, we're beginning to take the wall out down there. And so that process has begun, and it'll continue for over a month of just taking out stuff, and then gradually start building back up.
Server area, bathrooms, like I said, bathrooms are being tiled. Little theater. So that walking in and out, like Kevin's saying the ramps are in, so.
This is an incredibly ambitious project. There's just so much to it, and I'm so thankful for so many people, starting with our students of how they've worked with us, obviously the community support, our staff, the K and our contractors putting this together, but it's really, really extensive, and the nice thing about being really extensive is there's gonna be an extensive change, and we just have to push through, and where things, our students and staff have been great, where some things, it's like a week later than what you wanted. They've been really good working with us and finding different ways. I mean, this summer, our staff and students, we did all of our summer programming out of the middle school. Never have we tackled that before, and we used space with Our Lady, and they were great working with us. And they did a great job with it.
And you were over at Headspace at Orno?
Orno and in the pond and doing it different. And I'm not gonna say that was as good of space, but people got some of the core essentials done with it, and they pushed through, and just really thankful for everyone's cooperation. So we have one more school year to go, but this school year is gonna feel very different than last school year because more of the spaces are done. And so that's gonna be exciting for our kids. And then next school year, when we start up, we're gonna be really in where Hilltop Shirley Hills is we're gonna be finishing up some punch list items, but it's gonna be in a much better spot.
So the PAC is open, accessible, operational.
It will be all school year, but
It will
it's
be all-
not, we did not run anything out there this summer because of the construction around it.
Yeah, but it will be open,
Yeah.
and we're able to, I mean, the public's able to access it.
Yeah, so we've worked out for those that need handicapped entrance versus other entrance. I mean, your walk-in is different because the courtyard's not in there, so people will be entering in the north side of the building, but we're gonna work with people that need handicapped entrance, that they don't have to walk that full length, and try to get them in. And so we'll work through the logistics of how do you take them backstage, back
Yeah.
that other way from the WAC, and we'll figure it out.
We have this little area right out front here that we'll consolidate down to, so during the school year, we'll be in this area.
Okay.
But the rest of the site opens up, and like I said, we kinda, this is the area of construction, but we keep getting to a smaller spot, so that's good.
Yep.
And the students might even see that get completed before the end of the school year, right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, yes.
So
they
that's
need
exciting
to.
for them too.
Yeah.
Well, once we get that portion done, there'll be one last stage of how we deal with the old fitness room, which is gonna become concessions, and so we have to,
Yeah.
that'll kind of trickle into the end of spring and into the part of summer. You go into the north, and now there's concrete there, and you're gonna notice that the center part of the concrete is brown. And it fits that you're walking across the dock or the pier into it. And we've used this theme of lake, sky, land. And you're gonna walk in and you're gonna see the learning bays, and as you go in, you're gonna see this wood structure that really resembles a crestliner boat. And so we really tried to utilize Minnetrista, Mound, Westonka, what we like, which is our open spaces, but also the lake. And there's symbols of that as you go through, and you look at the ceiling line and you're gonna see movement in the tiles of how it waves through. And so it's really meant to bring in a sky, a water, and a land perspective. And I think Wolf did a really good job with that theme. But someone that doesn't get the theme right away, they're, I wonder why they chose to do this that way. And you're trying to pull that all together.
We're like a month away from this picture. We're getting so close to this picture, right? It's gonna look just
Can't
like
wait.
that.
I have I have a question.
Yep.
And I don't know if you have one, can you get a fairly decent blow-up of the entrance in front of Thaler and the stadium there? and just the general parking and overhead of that?
Yep.
Because I've had several constituents call on that and they had some concerns, so I just wanted to.
Sure. Just like a PDF, just a blow up.
Yeah, just a blow up of that area.
Yep.
And the reason being, I just wanted to point out what there is, and I'm not saying we have to hash this out tonight or anything
Yep.
like this, but I would like to see a little bit of a gut check just in case.
So the entrance of that lot is gonna widen?
Yeah, so that was, and I'm not saying they're right, I'm not saying they're wrong, or that we haven't done our due diligence here. But here is where we're coming into, this will be the only entrance here, at least to get out through here. So we come in here, we come around, they have some side parking here. And then we move along to this point here where we're actually doing the drop off. And we do have 2 lanes.
Yep.
There is some concern that those 2 lanes, and they might be perfectly legitimate for what they are doing as far as width, because I actually brought my truck in there and opened both the doors, and I didn't
Yep.
see any real issues.
Yep.
But there was some concern about maybe being a little bit too narrow. Now, maybe they're perfectly legal, and I can go back to that and say, no, these are actually calculated in the proper width for what they're doing.
Sure.
The other item is we then have 2 options here. We can go back here and we have 3 or 4 areas we can go actually park into that area, move out, right? But the problem is when you're going to leave, say you came in and parked in this area, right? You now have to go back down into the traffic, go all the way back out, as far as I understand it. And then if you want to come back in to pick somebody up, say you watched them for an hour,
Yep.
right? You have to then get back into there and move on there. They're asking, why can't we have 1 or 2 open spaces? Again, might be perfectly legitimate that inflowing traffic coming here might interfere with traffic that's already moving through.
Yep.
So I just need to, like you say, examine and do a gut check on this area here.
Yep.
And how the flow is, because obviously they have options of moving on this way and then coming around, but they're saying it's kind of a pain if you've actually thought this out, parked it and everything else, and now you have to come out and you have to pick up your kid for whatever reason, you then have to go all the way back out here to move again.
Yep.
There was also concern on some of the radiuses. Now, I took my truck in there, I didn't have any problem at all negotiating the radiuses, even this one that seems a little tight, that I think we had to do
we're
some
addressing
refit.
it. Yeah, the
So-
radius.
All I'm asking for is a gut check on how this is going to flow, or how we anticipate it's gonna flow, that I can go back and say, well, we did for this, this, and this.
Yep. I will check with the civil engineers, because there's a reason for it,
Right.
or if, hey, what if we did add an access point that's somewhere along this line?
Right, and it might be that there's like you say, a very good safety reason for that. I just need to be able to go back to them and say, well, there's a safety reason that we don't wanna enter that traffic, and traffic is already flowing.
Yep.
One other item is if there's a lot of people trying to get in for an event at this point here, and there's a lot of people trying to get out here, you know, in other words, games took here, a game took amphitheater, these people are leaving, they have people coming in for the next game and things like that. There is going to be maybe a little bit of a choke point here, cars coming in, trying to get to the next event, and cars trying to go out, but they would like to get back in to pick up their kids.
Sure.
So,
Yep.
that was, I think that my cursory explanation kind of got everything that I think you have to look at.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
All right.
No, good point.
And like I say, not a big epistle, but just something I can say, you know, we did an analysis, a little bit of it, and we think this is the correct way.
Yep, okay, will do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, see you next month.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Move on to the treasurer's report, Heidi.
Okay. Blackbaud Giving Fund, Westonka High School, $20. Northwest Tonka Lions, Westonka Community Theater, $5,000. Northwest Tonka Lions, Northwest Tonka Lions Scholarship, $6,000. G. Roberts, Mount Westonka Class of '75 Scholarship, $1,000. Shirley Hills PTA, Shirley Hills Primary School, $10,160.83. American Online Giving Foundation, West Tonka School District, $82.50. Year-to-date total, $22,263.33.
Thank you, Heidi. Now we'll move on to teaching and learning. Mark?
So I have 3 items tonight to report on, and always fun to come, got a lot of great news to share with you tonight. And let me just bring the slides up here. There we go. So tonight, we have the start of, I'll be coming to the board meetings tonight, September, October, with all the standardized test scores. And always, first off the bat is the AP results. And for the 25-26 school year, just as a reminder, we launched a new AP course called Seminar, AP Seminar. And as I've spoken and shared a little bit about this course, what an excellent course to prepare students that want to further their education after high school. The course focused, it was through our English department, it focused on research, analysis, communicating thoughts and ideas. Kids had to investigate real world problems and then come up with opinions through a written essay, team projects, multimedia presentations. And then of course there's always an end of year course exam. All kinds of skills and experiences that, you know, colleges, universities expect their freshmen to be able to do. So I'm so pleased that we're offering this course. We have offered 2 sections last year. We'll offer another 2 sections this coming school year. So in the first year, we had a 100% passing rate, as you define a passing of 3 or higher on an AP exam with an average score of 3.48 out of 5. I'd say that was success of that first year. Kelsey Rausch was from the English department, was the teacher, and she's just passionate and excited about this course. And now 1 year under her belt, now just watch for this coming year. So that was great news. And then when we look at kind of a recap of the results of our AP scores, truly amazing. And no excuses. We started this school year a little bit in turmoil with classrooms not being done. We're shifting around. I mean, staff could make a lot of reasons why, you know, guys, you know, it's kind of a year of construction and that. But the staff really, really focused on the academics. So this first slide here, we had a record number of exams in school's history, 447 exams. A record number of AP students, 241 students that took AP courses this year.
So do you think we should keep this construction chaos setting going? Or is that- well, I guess we'll have one more year. We'll see.
The other thing that came through, we had a school record of the percent of students earning a 3 or higher. And that was the highest it's ever been at 84.34%. And it was fun to see is that from 2022, the 5-year trend just keeps going up and up and up. And you know, remember, we're getting to 100% now. So, you know, the bars are gonna get, you know, they're gonna be more and more about the same, but it's fun to see that trend. That also then is reflected in the number of AP scholars. So for the 25-26 school year, we had 74 AP scholars. That was up from 50 in 24-25. And you can read for yourself the different distinctions of what it means to be an AP scholar. We had 32 of them, that was the school record. We had 21 AP scholars with honors, that was the school record. And we had 21 AP scholars with distinction, that was the school record. And you look at all the different levels, that's effort. That is kids that are goal-oriented, focused, and committed to their academics. And it is fun to see the fruits of the labor and the efforts that as a whole, the faculty, the students together, what they did this last year.
Is this
And.
Quick question.
Yes.
When you're designated an AP scholar, 3 or more AP courses, that's in a single year, right?
No, that would be, that is over.
Cumulative.
Over the course of their high school career.
Okay.
Grades,
Thank you.
technically for us, grades 10 through 12.
Okay.
And then, just to highlight where we had all-time school passing rates, we saw that in AP English Lit, AP Physics, AP US Government, AP US History, AP Seminar. So it's really just some wonderful results. Again, it's one lens to look at how our student bodies perform, but it's an important lens. And I'll be back with other lenses when it comes to how our students are performing, but it was really great in July when I was pulling the reports. I thought, wow, there's some really amazing results that are going on. Okay, just a couple other updates. You've heard about the READ Act. The READ Act is alive and well. We continue with the READ Act here in the state, and for the 26-27 school year, there is continued literacy training. And they call it Phase 2 training, and basically it is our English department and some special ed teachers that were hired last year or the year before. Now they're catching up with their training. And the reason why it is the high school English teachers, the legislation defines those high school teachers that instruct in reading. You could argue that, well, everyone teaches reading, but it's really the core teachers that are instructing in reading. So that is our high school English teachers. And so they started in June, they'll continue through January, and they're working through their literacy training. We also have paraprofessionals. They also are required to take READ Act training. And right now, we're more in I call it a makeup mode, where not all the paras finish their training, or for whatever reason, we invite them in on their non-work days. So they've had other commitments last year and they couldn't make the training. We track that and we offer training. So BrightWorks, which is our XU, or Metro XU, they're offering virtual training this year. So right now, we have about a half dozen paras that have signed up for training with them the month of August. We'll continue to work with BrightWorks with offering more virtual training, but we also are set up to do in-person training with our paraprofessionals with Natalie Bulow and Robert Bevers. And again, we're gonna see first how this BrightWorks training goes. It's a great thing that we can offer virtual. We just wanna be careful not to pull paras out of the classroom to do the training. That's why we offered in August. We really pushed that hard, and we'll just see what BrightWorks does now this school year, what that'll look like. And then I maybe mentioned to you there's a new requirement for screening for dyslexia. The assessment is called CAPTI Read Basic, and basically through our fast pitch assessment, we identify kids that are reading at very low levels, and then they're required grades 4 through 12 to take the CAPTI Read Basics assessment, is to provide us more information, more detail about the specific gaps the students are exhibiting. It does not mean that they are dyslexic, but it does mean they might have a tendency. And it's our job to address those gaps, not to diagnose. So we'll be now implementing this assessment here starting this fall, and we have a whole plan ready to go for all the buildings, a data review each time. We like to see this assessment done 3 times a year, but it has to be hinged with a thoughtful data review of the results when that happens. And then just to give you just a very quick high-level update, we're going here in a few weeks. It's hard to believe all the planning that's been done with the nursing assistant program and then the emergency medical responder program. But Caitlin Peglow has been working very hard. She came on board June 15th, working full-time. And I'm thankful to Kevin, the board, for approving that additional time for her, because there would be no way, if she started with all the new teachers in a couple of weeks, all the work that's been done to get this up and running has been critical. So these programs are launching. I'm also working with Dale Kimball with the machining program, and we're actively looking at pricing of all this expensive machining, this equipment. And I'm just waiting to hear from our Carl Perkins liaison about what kind of funding we think we're gonna get. So we wanna start there with Carl Perkins dollars before we spend our own dollars.
The machining starts second semester?
Second semester.
The construction trades too, is that first?
Yep, first semester,
The
yes.
construction trade ones last year?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Yep,
you.
yep. So everyth's in motion, and I tell you, there's been moments when you think, I don't know, are we gonna get this all done and figured out? But it's really been a labor of love where people just wanna pitch in, whether it's other colleagues here in the district to outside businesses and organizations, that it's all coming together. How exciting for our students that they're gonna experience these new programs. And Dale's excited. Dale went to welding camp in Alexandria in June and had a great time just refreshing his memory of that. And then we made a partnership with Dunwoody that he is willing to attend Monday nights at Dunwoody, their machining class, so he can learn firsthand how these manual mills are gonna work and everything that he's gonna be doing. So he's all in. And the same with Caitlin, she is all in. So we have some really motivated staff ready to lead these programs,
And
so.
we've got good numbers for
all-
registration for
yes,
students,
yes, yes.
that's fantastic.
Yes, beyond capacity.
Okay, great.
Beyond capacity. We had to make some choices
Okay.
on that, so it's all good. So that's my report.
Thank you.
Mark, is there a reason why it's nursing assistant registered
Yeah,
versus
but that-
registered nursing
Yeah,
assistant?
isn't that just the greatest question? It was, it was certified nursing assistant, CNA. I do not have a good answer for you today.
Okay, it's just an awkward,
That-
It does, it sort of seems bad.
CNA rolled off the tongue, NAR.
Yeah,
Seems-
exactly.
Got
Well,
my
that's
NAR
not
license.
NAR, it's not R.
Yeah.
Or RNA would also
Or
roll off the
dash in
tongue.
there, right?
Okay.
Good evening, board. I will be giving an updated snapshot of our June 30th, 2026 expenditures and revenue. I mentioned that at the last board meeting. We really won't roll the year until our audit data is final. So this is kind of a refresh to look at where we're at. The large majority of our entries are done. We have a couple weeks to go yet, so and we're getting continued updated student reports, and so any changes, obviously, we make, expenses that roll in or updated student counts will affect our numbers. But as of this point in time, our revenues that we're planning on in general fund is $44,751,000, and at this point, we're landing at 99.6%. Again, as student counts come in higher, I'm hoping that will elevate. Expenses, we are at 44,456,000 or 99.9. So again, I hope the bills are not gonna roll in, that we'll hit it that close. But again, this is just kind of a updated mid-progress report, and there'll be more to come. Okay, as I mentioned, it's heavy audit season for us now, and we'll be starting the audit exactly 2 weeks from today. We anticipate another smooth audit, and they will be present at our October meeting for the formal report. Other things going on is we're starting into the levy season. That's probably my second favorite after the audit. And we have initial data to submit by the end of August, and then at your September meeting, keep in mind that we'll be also bringing a proposed levy, and we typically will approve that at maximum, as we work through those adjustments and edits from the state as well. And then lastly, all of that, we'll be meeting with our school board finance committee on October 10th. We'll be reviewing the levy, giving a sneak peek of that ahead of time. We'll be looking at our first day of school enrollment and construction update, and again, closing up on the audit for the 25-26 school year. Any questions tonight? Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Do the superintendent's report, Kevin?
Yeah, so a lot of it is construction right now. It's also the start up of the school year. We're excited. Next Monday, fall sports start up, and shortly after that, we start doing our new teacher orientations, starting to bring in our substitutes, starting to just start ramping into the school year. There's some districts that start this year a little bit early, before Labor Day. You had your option this year, before Labor Day or after Labor Day. That wasn't a discussion in our district because we wanted as many weeks as we could have this summer to get the projects done. So when we knew we could start later, yes, that's what we want to do.
So we start the 8th?
Yep, we start on the 8th. So it starts a little bit later. You'll notice some schools chose earlier. That would have been a discussion here if it wasn't for construction. As far as action items before you, the first one with the student fees you heard about, policy changes is pretty standard. There's approval of the cardiac emergency response plan. This is by statute that we need to adopt such a plan, and so if there's a cardiac issue, how would we respond to it? And it organizes our buildings and what are the procedures of how to do that. So each building has their plan. We are asking you to add mock trial. One thing that love about our district is we offer almost everything, and if there's a group of kids that show that they're interested in it, we're open to letting them try. And so we have some students that are interested, and we have some coaches that are willing to volunteer their time, and that's usually how these programs start. And then sometimes where you think, are we offering too many? It's amazing how that fills up, and you can support multiple different things. And so for a while there, DECA, a lot of kids, and you wondered, could you run a speech team? And then all of a sudden they won the conference. And so speech is definitely alive and well, and if you get the right advisors, so I would recommend that for your approval. There's a little bit of an adjustment to food service program fees. It's by a nickel, and so just keeping up with some of the inflationary increases. Staffing adjustments, we will have some new lines at the high school, and so that's really acknowledging how we have to move around or add a little bit, but our director of food service has done a great job with this program, and she really manages that staffing closely, and feel good about that ad. You have an addition of a 1.0 head custodian, and what that also has is the elimination of a 1.0 maintenance custodian position. We had a maintenance position at our high school that passed away, and very sad, and his name was Mike Nelson, and so we will miss Mike. In that we are changing this position from maintenance position to a head custodian, just how that role really fulfills itself. That's consistent with our other buildings. And so Mike has been here, was here for a long time, and in that he came in as a maintenance, wanted to continue it, but unfortunately we're at the position of reconsidering how that would be posted, and this makes most sense for it.
There was a great turnout for his funeral. I went to it over in Hopkins. There were a lot of people there for it, which was fantastic to see.
Thanks for going. Finally, Kathy does a really good job with those that are seeking PSEO. You can have an agreement with the college, and that's just working out the finances to our best advantage, and it also works well for students. Every time we see some students, there's not many that would go to Ridgewater, but when we see that there might be one or two, we always make those agreements. And so that is our action items. Our next meeting is in September, and when we get to that September meeting, we're gonna have our school start. We're gonna be really winding up a lot of construction, and I just would share so many plans right now are being put in place of how's transportation gonna work. You look around Mound and there's gonna be roads that close again. And how do those bus routes work to, how do they work in our own parking lots to getting buildings, the movers moving things in, getting people set up and all the things. And so we have an action-packed August ahead of us. Thrilled to, always brings good energy when this kind of ramps up and we have student athletes, then new teachers, and then all staff. It's just a nice crescendo that we follow here until the start of school. But got a great team in place, our hires are in place, and that's a good place to be right now.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, got the rest of August, you guys, and then we're back at her again with school, so it's coming up quick. Chair moves for approval of the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We'll move on to discussion items. Chair moves for approval of action item 8A, approval of required student fees for the nursing assistant registered program. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Chair moves for approval of action item 8B, approval of policy changes. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Chair moves for approval of action item 8C, approval of cardiac emergency response plans for the high school, Westonka Middle School, Hilltop, and Shirley Hills. Is there a second?
I should second that one.
You get the honorary second.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Chair moves for approval of action item 8D, approval to add mock trial as a Westonka activities program. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Chair moves for approval of action item 8E, approval of adult staff food service program fees for 26-27. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Chair moves for approval of action item 8F, approval of staffing adjustments for Westonka Food Services. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair moves for approval of action item 8G, approval of addition of a 1.0 FTE head custodian position and the elimination of a 1.0 maintenance custodial position at Westonka High School. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The chair moves for approval of action item 8H, approval of PSEO by contract agreement with Bridgewater College. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's it for discussion items. I have one quick question. You had brought up about that parking area and driving through there. Have you had a lot of people? I haven't.
I
had
wouldn't say
any-
a lot, and I always make a point of saying, if you really have a concern, I appreciate it, if you put it in writing, just so I can have it, but several people have called.
Okay.
And they, like I say, it may be something, like I say, more or less of a gut check. In other words, if I go back and say, well, we've examined this, and this, and this is the reasons, But, like I say, I was, took the day off on a hot day and rode up here, just kind of looked around the thing, and then I drove through it with my truck. And there were some legitimate areas, that actually had, one or two was kind of funny, one of the work trucks came through. And he kind of went around and boom, he goes right up on the curb, right? And he just goes, Jesus, in my imagination, these curbs are really tight. And I'm sitting there, kind of, so it may be that, like I say, there are some legitimate, and we're gonna find out when the flow actually starts. That's gonna be a big flow area, especially for like games in the plaza area and stuff like
Oh, yeah.
that. It may be that we may have to make some minor adjustments to that, or it may be that there's perfectly legitimate reasons why you can't enter that flow of traffic from the other side of the general parking area. So it's one of those things that I just thought,
Well, it's a
if we
good
could get a
question,
gut
because
check.
I'd rather know now.
Yes,
than
that's
know
absolutely
later,
true.
So,
I think a quick answer on this is the entrance curves need to be changed and they will be changed.
Mhm.
And with the flow of it, I think you're serving stadiums, you're serving additional parking, you have before and after school lineup of cars that's in consideration. You have movement of cars of how they get into a turning lane.
Right.
So there's a lot of factors, so I think flow is, has a lot of legitimate purpose. I think the entrance of that is tighter than it needs to be widened, and that'll be corrected before school starts.
Right, so if you can just go back and say, we've examined it and this, then.
That was
Yeah.
already on your radar?
Yeah, the entrance is narrow, but I think he's talking about additional drive-through from the main parking area. But what I would just say is, I think we should open it up first and learn from what happens with all the traffic before we start deciding to make changes and extra costs to change things, so.
Right, and as far as like you say, the space between, like I say, I drove in both lanes, opened up both my doors and just kind of walked around and imagined myself, or actually got out and walked onto the line. I did not step on the median line in any way, shape, or form as an adult. So that, it might be a perfectly legitimate reason why state law says it has to be this wide for a drop-off. And I'll be the first to admit, I've been in many, many school parking lots. There are a lot of horrible designs out there. And it's just not us, I'm not saying ours is a horrible design, but I'm saying, you'd be surprised at how many problems they have in some of these egress and entrance points.
Well, we have a facilities committee meeting coming up.
Right.
It's probably a
next
good
week, Wednesday.
time to
Yeah.
talk to the
Although right now,
architects.
right now, it looks like they've already laid the curbing and stuff for a lot of the parking lots.
Again, the front of it, the beginning of it, those curbs are too tight and that needs to be adjusted. I think the rest of it carries a flow. We can talk about it at facilities
Right.
committee. Happy to do that at the table. I'm happy to bring that to a board meeting too.
Right,
I
and
think-
it's just
I
a
think
gut
the-
check, I'm not saying a big, long study, but I am saying, okay, this is our reason why we did not put an exit in the middle of the parking lot on the west side. Because there might be some dangers of entering that traffic flow if there's a long line of cars trying to get in there, that kind of thing. So it might be certain legitimate safety issues that have to be applied, and it might be a little inconvenient, but I'd rather have a safe parking lot than,
Absolutely.
Probably traffic flow is something I assume they looked at, but maybe not, yeah.
Right, so it's just coming all, and then there was a legitimate point of having to go all the way back out and then coming back around to, you're into the game, you're going out, getting in your car and then going to pick up your kid. And then there's the next group coming in. That's going all the way out to the street, which may already have a bunch of traffic's trying into that single lane.
You can turn left to go up in the tennis courts and come back around. I mean, it's not ideal, but you don't have to
Yeah.
go out to the street.
So it might be one of those things that we simply have to live with because it's more of a safety issue than not, so.
Okay.
Take a look at it, yeah.
Anybody else have anything? If not, chair moves for adjournment. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Have a good rest of the summer,
Thank you.
everybody.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Enjoy the time off. Get back to that.
I'm a little bit late here.